The Toronto Raptors are preparing to make some major changes in the 2024 offseason, and with an extra addition of cap space, those changes could be coming in the free agent market, specifically with Brooklyn Nets center Nic Claxton. So in today's video, we're going to discuss if the Raptors can really make this deal happen, and if they can, should they try and sign the big man? Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. This is Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel completely dedicated to Toronto Raptors content in videos like this, as well as live streams for Raptors games and additional live streams coming in the offseason. So please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, keep updated with all those videos, especially with a 17,000 sub giveaway on the way when we get to that milestone with 2 Raptors jerseys. And drop a like if you enjoyed this video along the way. We're focusing in on Nic Claxton because that is the buzz among Raptors fans. Raptors fans are looking to find replacements, looking to find reinforcements for this team in the upcoming offseason. And long has Nic Claxton been a player that fans have been infatuated with. I've been a fan of Nic Claxton. I've been wanting the Raptors to sign Nic Claxton, it feels like, for 3 years now. And all Nic Claxton has done since that point is gotten better and better and better. So much so that last season, he was a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Even had a shot of probably winning the award at such a young age. But now, heading into free agency potentially, the Toronto Raptors could decide to strike a deal with the player. So in this video, we're going to investigate what his valuation is going to be, what his fit with the team would be, if the Raptors can make it happen, and if they should try and make it happen. So for starters, a player of Nic Claxton's quality, how could this player end up being a free agent? Well, honestly, with the Brooklyn Nets, there's admittedly quite a bit of incompetence going on in that organization overall, and the fact that Nic Claxton is even a threat of leaving the team in free agency is certainly a problem that this team needs to address. But there's a possibility that they could be completely priced out of a deal, and with the player having the ability to choose wherever he wants to play next, it's a very high degree of a possibility that Nic Claxton does end up on another team. And after displaying more impressive numbers over the course of this season, Nic Claxton absolutely could be on the way out and absolutely could be cashing in big time in the offseason. And with salaries continuing to grow, salaries around the league, cap space around the league continuing to rise, well, I think that there presents an opportunity for Nic Claxton to make some very good money here. And what that very good money could look like, current projections around people involved within the Brooklyn Nets and people involved in Brooklyn Nets media are kind of guesstimating this one ends around 4 years, $95 million. And I would tend to agree with that sort of decision, though I could see Nic Claxton entering the $25 million a year tier. He is a high-quality center that produces some high-quality levels defensively, is a good rim runner as well as a good pick-and-roll partner. There's a lot of good qualities attributed to Nic Claxton. Where there are some deficiencies overall, maybe perhaps in the playmaking department, perhaps in the floor spacing department, not only can Nic Claxton not shoot, not only can he not hit free throws, not a good playmaker out of those high post positions where you typically do get some improvements with some centers who don't provide a lot in the jump shooting department. These sorts of things can limit Nic Claxton's valuation in free agency, but this is a player that's going to comfortably make above $20 million a year, and with so many different teams potentially committing to trying to sign the player and committing to providing lucrative offers to the player and try and sway his decision one way or another, I could see this one again entering the 4-year, $100 million plus tier for the player. Nonetheless, this is an expensive player, and it's going to be a player that a lot of teams are going to be keeping their eye on, and the Raptors could be one of those teams as well. Wanting to maybe bolster in the center department where they have had a little bit of struggles with depth this season, wanting to bolster the position, perhaps wanting to move on from Jakob, wanting to go to a younger player to bring into their team. Nic Claxton, I mean, he's 24 years old. He's going to be 25 years old this year. Jakob 28 years old. He's going to be 29 years old this year. Perhaps bringing in a younger player that provides a defensive stability to this team that perhaps they have been lacking when Jakob has been injured this season. Bringing in that defensive stability, bringing in that height for rebounding as well. It would be a welcome addition to this team for the long-term future where we already are trying to build around the core with Scottie Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick. Maybe perhaps the list goes on a little bit longer, but Nic Claxton would fit right in with that starting lineup there. You put Nic Claxton as a starter, Scottie Barnes at the 4, RJ Barrett at the 3, Grady Dick at the 2, Emmanuel Quickley at the 1. That lineup would be sorted for next season. Maybe that's not the most high-tier lineup right away, but down the line, these are players that could be involved within the Raptors organization for 2, 3, 4 years plus. So building with that young core, all of them developing together, that's something that is very appealing, understandably, to Raptors fans. But let's talk about the fact of this potentially happening. if this could happen. Financially speaking, is there a way for the Raptors to make this happen? 100% absolutely. There are certain salaries that are going to be coming off the books at the end of the season. The Spencer Dinwiddie salary, which was bought out at the NBA trade deadline, that's going to be coming off the books. There's a potential Gary Trent Jr. does not re-sign with the team. That's going to be coming off the books. There's a potential Bruce Brown does not pick up his player option. I don't really know why he would do that, but there's certainly a possibility that this is going to be the case. There's going to be some salary and some financial flexibility for this Raptors team in the offseason. There's always a potential to make a move in the offseason to clear up more of it going forward. So the Raptors are going to be able to afford this, but a lot of the question here will stem from, okay, well, is Nic Claxton going to choose the Raptors over any other team? Typically, when it comes to the free agent market, Raptors fans, you don't really want to get your hopes up. If you look at the pretty long history of the Toronto Raptors at this point, you can't really pick out a single notable free agent that decided to choose the Raptors in free agency. Like, there's been free agents that have returned to the Raptors, like significantly DeMar DeRozan. He was a free agent, decided to stay with the Toronto Raptors. That was massive. That was a massive free agent pickup. But as far as players being on other teams, becoming free agents, and then signing for the Raptors, like the most notable ones in history that I can remember off the top of my head are Otto Porter Jr., we know how that turned out, and DeMar Carroll. Great free agent pickup at the time, but did not work out. I think also Hedo Turkoglu fits into this one as well, where he joined the Raptors as a free agent. That did not work out by any means whatsoever. So when it comes to free agency, Raptors fans, yeah, I got to tell you, don't typically get your hopes up here, but things can always change. The market in Toronto is growing. Basketball in Canada is growing. Is this a potential to maybe change the narrative, remove the stigma on playing in Toronto, showing the Raptors the capabilities of landing Nic Claxton financially, and perhaps Nic Claxton is swayed by the project, playing next to Scotty Barnes and with a young core where he's going to get tons of play time, maybe more offensive reps with a more structured front office rather than what's available to him with the Brooklyn Nets. There definitely is a reality where the Raptors can make this happen. I struggle to see other teams not swooping in and having more desirable team offers for Claxton. I think financially the Raps can take care of him, but I can see other teams providing a little bit more of the playoff prowess that potentially Nic Claxton is looking for at this point. With that being said, it's possible for the Raptors to make this happen, though perhaps unlikely with so many teams likely trying to jostle for position in signing Nic Claxton. But even though the Raptors can make this happen, should they make this happen? That's going to be the big question here. And for me, I look at the current roster, I look at Nic Claxton, I feel as though this doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, Raptors fans, like, I've seen it continuously in comment sections, I've seen it continuously on my live stream in the chat section where people want the Raptors to push to sign Nic Claxton in the offseason, but really, for what reason other than the fact he's younger than Jakob Poeltl? Is Nic Claxton a superior rim protector to Jakob Poeltl? I would say yes. However, that's not really saying a lot there because Jakob Poeltl himself is an excellent rim protector. In fact, Jakob Poeltl has missed like 25 games this season, and the Raptors have only won 2 of those games. His presence is very much felt when he's not on the court, and I think Raptors fans have given Jakob Poeltl too much of a tough rep this season because of the trade that happened at the 2023 trade deadline. It's not Jakob Poeltl's fault. The Raptors made a horrible trade at that deadline, gave away a first-round pick, top 6 protected. We'll see if we get it, but it's not Jakob Poeltl's fault. The front office made that bad trade with the San Antonio Spurs. Jakob Poeltl is here. He's bought into the team. He's even bought in a little bit to this rebuild as well, which is a little bit surprising. But all he's done is play high-quality basketball in the center position. So, no, he's not quite the rim protector of Nic Claxton, but he's still an excellent rim protector, a good defender, a very good rebounder, and offensively, there are a lot of qualities that Jakob Poeltl brings to this team that Nic Claxton is not going to bring. Like, people have continuously complained about Jakob Poeltl and his lack of so-called floor spacing. Well, I've always mentioned Jakob Poeltl is a great pick and roll player, setting screens and being a good screener, gives space to the player who's holding the ball, who's handling the ball. So for Emmanuel Quickly, for Dennis Schroeder previously, that player gets a lot more space to play with the screens provided by Jakob Poeltl. He's a great roller, does really well in handling those passes and getting himself to the rim as well. And what also provides the floor spacing is the high post playmaking, which I've already suggested Nic Claxton is not super elite at doing, nor is he very good at it in general. So Jakob Poeltl provides a lot of qualities on offense. So even though it's not the shooting, Well, Nic Claxton certainly doesn't provide any of that either. And when we speak about the contracts involved in this whole situation, I've already said, you're probably looking at 4 years, $95 million for Nic Claxton, maybe even reaching $100 million. As for Jakob Poeltl, he's already locked in on a deal, 4 years, $80 million. So you're spending more on a player who's younger, yes, but doesn't provide a lot of the qualities that could actually help this Raptors team going forward. And we're speaking about Jakob Poeltl, currently 28 years old, turns 29 in October. We're talking about this guy like he's ancient. He's 28 years old. There's still time for Jakob Poeltl to produce some excellent basketball, and we have him in the midst of the prime here. Next season, I don't expect the Raptors to immediately come out the gates and be a tanking team. That's going to be a team that wants to challenge for play-in tournament positions with young players on the ascent, like, as I said, Barnes, Quickly, Barrett, Dick. Poeltl fits in well with these guys. He already knows these guys. He already knows Darko Rajakovic's system for next season. So, all in all, you're spending more for a player in Nic Claxton, who probably doesn't bring as much to the team as Jakob Poeltl, and you have to maneuver what's likely going to be an expensive free agent contract. Overall, I think the thought of Nic Claxton on the team is great, but in reality, not only is this kind of unlikely to happen, with Nic Claxton likely choosing to sign elsewhere, the Raptors are pretty taken care of as far as the starting center goes, and they're pretty solid in the backup position now with Olynyk on the team. It'd be nice to add in a third center who can bring in some rim protection just when Jakob Poeltl misses some games, inevitably through injury, just to have a more solidified third center on the team, because apparently it's not going to be Jontay Porter. But that's not a player you're spending $95 million on. That's a player you're spending $5, $6, $7, $8 to $10 million on. So as far as this deal is concerned, can it happen? Yes, it's not impossible for the Raptors to make this happen. It is unlikely, and I feel as though the priority should be in other positions. With the cap space available, we need point guard depth desperately. We need defensive players. We need a big wing defender desperately. We need a third center. We need all of these things. And sure, some of them can be addressed in the draft, but I don't think going all out with your focus on a Nic Claxton pursuit is the way to go for the Raptors teams. And for that reason, I'm out on this one. But what's your position on it? Do you think the Raptors should still pursue Nic Claxton? Can Nic Claxton and Jakob Poeltl exist in the same team? I completely think they cannot. But you give me your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. That's all for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content like this. And because we're getting close to 17,000 subs, and when we get there, 2 Raptors jerseys are being given away into the community. You're going to need to be subscribed when we do that giveaway, so get on board with the Amateur Army today. I'll see you again next time for another video.